Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Erica. Today I'm going to show you my process for selecting fabrics for my projects. So I get a lot of questions on how I select fabrics for my quilt projects and bags and anything like that. So today I'm going to share that process with you. So I recently released my July Quilty House of the Month. So here is what the finished product ended up looking like. And today I'm going to show you my process for choosing the fabrics for this quilt. So let's go ahead and jump back to when I was selecting fabrics for my July Quilty House. So I thought it would be kind of fun to show you guys how my process for choosing fabrics for a specific pattern. And we're going to be using my July House of the Month as an example. I'm not going to speed anything up. We're just going to talk through it as we go and just kind of bring you along like you were in my sewing room while I was choosing fabrics. And hopefully that'll help give some of you guys some ideas on how to pick fabrics for your projects. I'm going to need 3 different blues, so a dark, a medium, a light, and then I'm going to need some red. I'm going to also need some background fabric, and I think for the window, even though it calls for white in the pattern, I think for the window and the stripes here, I'm going to use a low volume just for a little bit more interest. And then I'll probably keep these 2 sections white. And then I need a light gray or something for my chimney. So the first thing that I do is just kind of pull a bunch of fabrics that I like the look of, you know, something that has the theme for what I'm going for, which is red, white, and blue. And I do have some of my older stash here. This is Day Sale by Bonnie and Camille. So I love this one, and it's got a lot of fun red, whites, and blues. I'm also going to grab my vintage picnic stash. This is probably my all-time favorite line that they've ever done, and it's got all kinds of great colors in there as well. And so I'm just going to pull out ones that I like and what fit my needs. So this is a nice low volume. It's just got some little dots on it, but I think for the low volume for this one, I'm actually going to use a fig tree print that I already have pulled. So I'll show you that in a second. I do like this dot print, which I also have right here. And then I also need a red, and I like this gingham red. There's this gingham red. Since my pieces are smaller, I'm actually not going to use this gingham. I think I would take the smaller one over that one. So that one's kind of out. The other thing that would be a possibility would be this little red and white dot print. So I think I will pull that one out. And I think that's all I'm going to pull out of that bundle. So here are my reds. I've got this dot print, I've got this option, I've got this, and I'd already pulled out this. I really love this. I might end up using this on like the binding or something, but I think this print's going to be too large because my red pieces are actually quite small, and I'm going to need them to pop. These are like 1.5 inch strips, and so I think if you take 1.5, a lot of that's going to go to white. So I might put this aside for binding. So here are my 3 reds to choose from, and I'm actually going to set those aside for just a second. The next thing I'm going to search for is my blues. I pulled this because I think I'm going to be using this on the backing. So I'm just going to set this aside, but I think this will be great for backing, and I actually do have enough of it for my backing, so I'll just set that aside. Okay, now I'm going to work on my blues. So I need a dark, a medium, and a light, or definitely a dark and 2 kind of similar shades. So this is going to be for my roof and for my door. And then there's a couple tiny little pieces here in this star. So I like this one. I like this one. I like this one because it has red and we have red, so it's going to kind of tie in. Also, this is from a different Bonnie and Camille line, and these blues are actually a little bit off from the blues that I picked. These are like a more true blue. This is more of like an aqua blue. So I think this one is going to be out. So we're going to set that aside. I'm gonna go with this one. The other navies that I have, and then just look at some of the other ones. This one I like, but it's really, really busy. I think it might distract from the rest of the quilt. This is a potential because this is gonna be a larger piece. This is gonna be the door and the roof. So I might actually pull this one out. Cherries, peaches, I don't know, birds, flowers. This one's got a lot of green, which I'm not loving for this. So, okay, so I'm going to pull that out. So I've got these 2 blues, and potentially I could use one for the door and one for the roof. And then now we need to pick 2 different blues. We need one for the front of the house and one for the side of the house. And they do need to be different enough that you can tell between the 2 of them. And so I need a couple. Now this one I like. This one it's got a print on it. And so, but it's really light and kind of not in your face. So how I'm gonna see if these go together is I'm gonna put one down, and then this one's very similar. I think it's gonna be too similar. So I might set that aside and put this one next to it. And because I can actually tell a pretty good difference between these two, I think this might be definitely a candidate. So that's kind of what my house would be looking like. And I do lay it out so that I can see, you know, the difference in the fabrics. Okay, so there's that one. The other one that I pulled, this was from my deep dive stash. This is actually from their Happy Go Lucky line, which was a long time ago. So that might be a candidate because there's definitely a difference there. But then when I try and put my roof on, and I do kind of lay it out, you know, just to sort of get the vibe of how much is going to be happening here. I don't know, I almost feel like this is too dark. So if we take it away, I feel like I like this a little bit better. The other one I pulled was this gingham. I love gingham, so I would kind of like to incorporate that, but if I decide to use this for my door, that might be too much gingham. But it looks kind of cute. Now we can bring some of our red windows in and see what we think. I don't know, I think this might be a little too much. I think I'm gonna stick with this. I also had this light blue, which is slightly different, and it did match with this one. These are two of the same line, so I know the blues coordinate, but I don't know if I like that vibe as much. I think that's just kind of a little bit more boring or something. So I think I'm gonna take those two out. So I'm definitely keep coming back to this, so that's a good sign. And then I have one more I wanted to try, and that's this little polka dot. And I also really like that one. These two are quite similar, you know, as far as how they read. I think I still prefer this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that one out. So I think this is gonna be my house. So I think we're set there. Now I can kind of take this and say, okay, now, am I liking that navy for my roof? Or do we feel this one a little bit more? Are we feeling this one? What do you guys think? I wish you could, I wish we should do this as a live, I guess, so I could get some feedback from you. So maybe we'll do that sometime. Leave a comment below if you think that would be fun. I'm still kind of going for this one because it's got the red, and that's gonna pull the red in from our flag. So I'm kind of leaning that way. My red is gonna be either this one then, or this one, or this one. And I love gingham, we all know that. I could use this for the letters, so I could use two different reds. I could use this for the letters, and then maybe do something smaller like one of these for the flag stripes and the little curtains, because those are such small pieces. And because they're so small, you're really only gonna be seeing like this tiny little bit of it. And I almost think this one is a little bit less intrusive. So I picked this for my stash. This is a fig tree print, low volume from their fruit cocktail line. And I thought that would be kind of cute, low volume for the flag and for the windows. And so if I'm putting those on here, you can see how much those polka dots are gonna stick out. Or if I put the flag strips over here, is that gonna match a little bit better? That's a hard call, actually. I kind of like both. I think I'm actually gonna go with this one now that I said that. I was originally planning on going with this one, but for some reason, I'm liking the polka dots. So, okay, there we go. So these can go to the side. I'm gonna kick this one out. And then I think what I'm gonna do is I'm going to hang on to this one. I'm also gonna hang on to this one for possible bindings. So I'll set these aside. I know that I've got this for my backing, and then I think I'm gonna go ahead and go with this color palette for my house. I'm not gonna use this one, so we'll pull that one out. I think this is gonna be my final fabric selection. So this is how I do it. I just lay it all out and I test things and audition them, and I kind of try to unfold them into the size so that I can get an idea of scale, because sometimes if you leave them all like folded up nice and neat, sometimes when you do something that's gonna be a larger piece, that's really gonna be like this roof, that's gonna be the entire top, it looks fine in a tiny piece, but when you unfold it, it's like, whoa, that's a lot. So I like to try and unfold them and put them, you know, sort of relative to the sizes that they're gonna be. These three I'm actually just gonna set aside. I haven't decided between these two, so that's gonna be kind of a last minute decision. Once I'm done putting my quilt top together, then I will choose the binding. I'm sure I'm gonna be using this for the backing because it's cute and it's stars and I have enough. That's very important. But these are definitely gonna be my pieces for the house front. Okay, I need one more color, and that's gonna be the chimney. So I'm pulling in these fabrics again to see if there's something that will pop out against a white background, but you know, still kind of have chimney vibes to it. I originally was gonna make that chimney red, but I don't think that's gonna look good. So this print is cute, but it's exactly the same as the roof, so I don't think I want to do that. So I might actually have to dig in my stash for a different color. Okay, so I am back from my scrap hunt, and I came up with these 3 different grays. And I apologize if you're frustrated as far as finding fabric for these House of the Months. Part of the reason I did them is because I wanted something fun each month, but also I want something that uses smaller pieces that I can dig out of my scrap bin. So I apologize that a lot of these are probably out of print and you can't get them, but I am gonna go with my stash. Okay, so I've got gray number 1, number 2, and number 3. And I might even grab some white background fabric and just using white for my background to put that on to kind of see. So this one is it almost has a hint of brown. It's like a warmer gray. These are both cooler grays. I like the stripes. This one I don't think matches the vibe of the fabric, so I'm gonna just cut that one out. I think either one looks good. On camera, this one's looking better. So maybe just because it's a little bit darker. A, the stripes, or B, not the stripes. Let me know in the comments below what you guys are picking as we go. It'll be interesting to see if I end up picking the final result of what you would pick. This one is showing up a little bit better on camera. In person, I like the stripes because it's cute. I'm gonna go with the stripes. And then the other thing that I'm gonna do once I've finally chosen my fabrics is I'm gonna go ahead and starch these, and I'm just gonna use Mary Ellen's Best Press to spray all these pieces before I start cutting and just get them all nice and smooth, and then I can start putting my block together. So that's pretty much my process for choosing fabric for just about any project. I just pull out fabrics that I think I'm going to want to use for that. So obviously for this one, I was pulling out reds, whites, and blues, and then I just use a process of elimination to see what goes together, what doesn't, and what I want to use for each piece. Now, as I was showing you what I selected for my house, you'll notice that my house actually is slightly different. The fabric that I had originally selected for this lighter blue, or this front section of my house, was actually a different print, and it was a lighter blue. I think it actually probably would have been a little bit better, but unfortunately when I started cutting it, I realized I didn't have quite enough for that. And that is something that happens when you're using your scraps and you're not like buying fabric for a project. And a lot of times I'm trying to use my scraps, especially for these smaller quilts, just because a lot of those pieces are tiny and it's a perfect scrap buster. But I did end up having to change the color of the front of the house, and so I changed it to this color. So here was what the original fabric I chose was. So as you can see, it's very close. I mean, there's really not a whole lot of difference with this. But one tip, as I started sewing, I realized I think this isn't quite enough of a difference between these two prints. So this one on the side of the house was supposed to be sort of a medium blue. The front of the house is supposed to be a lighter blue. And then you actually use the front of the house blue right here on this flag unit. And so I think if I were to redo this, and if you haven't sewn this yet, I would probably choose a more contrasting color for the front of the house and the side of the house. That way this flag unit will pop just a little bit more. The other thing that I was thinking would be cute is if you made these pieces white and the star points blue. That would also be really cool. But that's just something that happens kind of along the way, is sometimes you pick out things, you're planning on using them, and then either one, you don't have enough fabric, which is what happened to me, or two, you might realize that they just aren't quite high enough contrast to give you that pop for that design. But overall, that's basically what I do for pretty much any of my projects. I start out pulling out yardage and fat quarters from my stash. If there's something I really want for a quilt project that I don't have in my stash, then I'll go to the store and see if I can pick something out. And I will usually bring my other fabrics that I'm planning on mixing with it to the quilt store with me so that I can kind of see how they're gonna play together. And if you do that, just be, of course, courteous to your quilt shop and say, hey, I'm trying to match this fabric. I just want you to know that I brought it in. Sometimes they can even help you find something that's gonna be in the same tone or something that's gonna help make that color pop. But that's it. That's my process for choosing fabrics for any of my projects. So it's not super complicated or fancy. I just pull out things that I think are gonna look together and audition them until I find my final selection. So I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please make sure to thumbs up this video. You can also subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any upcoming fun. Thank you for hanging out with me today, and I will see you next time. Hold, please. I've got this nice gray. I've got chickens. That doesn't really match. You know what I need to do? I need to pop into my scrap bins. What do I have down here? That would be cute. Is that all the gray I have? I need to up my gray stash, guys. This is, because that's Christmas fabric.